All right, here's your happy thought of the day. It occurred to me that this time, 40 years from now, I don't know if you guys have any experience with nursing homes. My family and I, when my kids were at a younger age, we used to frequent them to serve those residents and the facility through our church. But then as their grandma got older, they did a lot of visiting her also. But check this out. When we would do our little outreaches at the nursing home, we'd bring in the nice 20s music and do the slow dance. And when people come and do outreach for us, my generation, or Death Row Records, I'm telling you, nursing homes are going to have a huge improvement soon in music. That's in music. And I like y'all's old-timey music. All right, so the patrons of this podcast are in the Bear With community, and I want to read a few names. Next month, we've got a community gathering in which Sharon Baker, the writer of Raising Hell, is going to come on there, and we're going to have a group discussion and basically attack Christian universalism, which that is what she believes in. I'm definitely going to bring in some folks that believe to the contrary, and we're going to figure this out together. Not really figure it out. You know what I mean. We're going to talk about it. And then in October, for the parents, I deconstructed right in the middle of my parenting. Was not fun. So we have Becca McNeil coming on the podcast in September, but in October, there's going to be a live Q&A, especially for parents. She just wrote a book called Raising Kids While Questioning Your Own Faith. Becca, why didn't you write this a longer time ago? Maybe the early 2000s would have been nicer. Here are the Bear With community folks. We got, and by the way, I'm gonna note when it's a personal friend, and I have a lot of personal friends that I met through the podcast. These are personal friends that I knew outside of the podcast, and that's Mark Durinsky, Andy Denton, both of those friends. Brian Brinkley, Logan Robinson, Cassandra Stafford goes by Sandy. She's a friend. Robbie Madison, host of the show and a friend. Nolan Hammer, bam! Jeannie Mitchum, friend. Ben Archer. Oh, it's hard not to say friend for this one. It's hard not to say friends for all of them, but I met you through Bad Christian. And Quincy Smith, one of our newest members. Love you guys. Got a lot more names to share. Enjoy the episode. Right. How are y'all doing? How are y'all doing? How are you doing? Yeah. Look at Matt's face. I'm trying to light everybody up. This is an act, guys.
Yeah, for real.
I do not have the energy right now.
I don't either.
I am acting.
It's been one of those weeks,
frozen.
man. Ellen's frozen
Is Ellen
again.
Frozen?
She's got shitty internet too.
This is one of those the devil is a liar times. Like he is trying to stop the Lord's work.
Preach.
And I'm not going to stand for it.
Amen. No, we won't.
I may give up tonight, but I'll be on my knees tomorrow morning. Oh, man.
Yeah, I think she's...
A 2. You put a 2 on band, man? What we're referring to right here is a survey that we put up for the Bear With community to answer, basically on a scale of 1 to 10, how you doing? So that's why I'm asking Matt, what's up with the 2, bro?
Yeah, it's just been rough.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hey, can you guys see
Anything
me? Am I
like-
still frozen?
You're not frozen.
You're
I hear you now.
Dang it.
If you want to pause your camera and maybe see if you'll get some more traction, that's fine.
Oh, no.
All right, now we see you.
Like you're
good?
posing for a police photo.
Ellen, as 3 people who struggle with anxiety, we might as well start with this. How's yours been? Mine has been average. I don't think Matt's is doing well at all.
Mm-mm. Yeah, it's money. I'm struggling. I think a lot of people are there right now.
Yeah.
King electric bill was like double what it normally is.
Dang.
Double?
Maybe it's because you have a country worth of servers in your house.
I don't. I used to, but no. It's just the air conditioner. It's not getting a break.
Oh.
I need new insulation. Need new windows. Kind of everything's really drafty. So
Yeah, that's your folks' place, right?
yeah, that's where I grew up.
Yeah.
It's kind of older now.
Ellen, how you been?
Mostly just sad, not anxious, just sad. I think my medication does a pretty good job about anxiety, but doesn't really help depression at all. So I gotta.
Is it kind of the standard clinical? You're not really sad about anything in particular?
No, I'm definitely sad about. I think I've told you this before. I just am sad about my life. And there's a couple of things in particular that make me really a lot more sad, but just like generally being the stay-at-home mom and having a completely different body, that is really fucked up. And it's just
You need to have an
really
affair,
getting
Ellen.
to me. You know what? It's my friend of mine, her husband recently had an affair, and every time it comes up with friends that are women, we just say, like, if I wanted to have an affair, it would be too tired. It would be too exhausting to try and keep that up. Like, I don't have energy for that.
Yeah.
And I would rather just be alone than have an affair.
Matt, would that be? So I know I think you're halfway joking.
Yeah, I'm completely joking. Don't have an affair.
You care about Ellen's family.
Of course.
But
Yes, it was a joke.
Part of the joke, though, do you think that would be a self-esteem bump? Ellen, this is real tricky. You may maybe the Billy Graham rule you need to bring your husband in here.
Oh, this is what you're saying.
I don't know if I trust this conversation without your husband.
You're
told
saying
me
that I
before
might feel less sad if I had had an affair. Is that's what you were saying?
At the very least, what if you had a guy? And I'm not I'm actually really striving for honesty here. I'm not trying to get you out on a limb or anything. But if a guy was pursuing you, would that help you with your body image? Like, I think you said that would be a boost to your confidence.
Oh, I did. Well, there's a guy at my local grocery store that has a crush on me, so that's nice. That kind of feels nice, but also kind of makes me
older
sad.
than 16.
Yeah, how old is
older
this
than
kid?
16?
Like 19.
Chasing that cougar. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so I made a blunder, and I hate when I make blunders. I edited the blunder because I really didn't like the blunder at all. But here's the apologies.
Cut this from the podcast.
Yeah, Joey.
What?
Matt.
No, I was thinking boy, and I said girl. So that's my.
You're bad at that.
I know. So
okay, so scratch that.
So you like girls and boys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we say men? Can we say men and women, please? Ugh.
Yeah, I prefer that too.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't even like them young.
Boys.
No, definitely not.
Hey, I
don't even want to be around your kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Matt, I do apologize. I hate when
okay.
I do that. It does seem very rude.
You'll get there. You'll figure it out. I just know it's just you now.
Yeah,
it's not on purpose.
Yeah, it's just like this thing in my head. Right when I'm about to say it, I get super confused. So
yeah, you try to think opposites, and you're bumming yourself up.
It's okay though. It can be confusing. Can be confusing.
Ellen, we're actually bringing a guest who I put my foot in my mouth so bad. He considers himself, I think, a queer mystic pastor, but on Twitter he said something, and I said something along the lines of, "Man, that's so awesome." Blah 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 blah. He was like, "Why did you assume that I'm a man?" and just laid into me. I went on his Twitter DM to apologize, and Ellen, you'll never guess what I did. I said, "Man, I am so sorry."
Oh, no.
And right when I hit send, I was like, "Oh, God." So I messaged him again, and I said, "I know it seems like I'm messing with you. I'm not messing with you."
Oh, my God.
So
Joey.
I don't know if he remembers that or not, but the listeners will hear that story again because I'll probably tell it to him. Yeah,
it's still funny to me.
That's the thing that's so tricky about cancel culture and all that stuff is you do have some people that are just innocently dumb, like myself. That just I think people know by now that it's an innocence.
Yeah, he doesn't mean it.
Speaking of foot in your mouth.
By the way, for context, before we got on this conversation, I used the wrong gender for about the third time with an important couple in my life, and so that's what we're talking about. But I edited it all. I respect trans people, dadgummit. And then the other night when we're on this gay affirming and unaffirming community talk, I'm
Joey,
using
I honestly wanted to
Gay
skip
this,
that
gay
conversation because I was like just preemptively cringing for you.
I got a question for both of y'all. I don't think that I like when people say that we just say it so nonchalantly. Guys just don't connect as good as women do. I don't think I agree with that. But do you guys think that there's a gender difference with connection?
There is in my life, for sure. It's always been much easier for me to connect to women. But that just could be because I'm so fruity. I don't know.
You are.
It's kind of always been the case.
Do you connect with women well, Ellen?
I think that you're asking in a way of like quantity versus quality kind of thing. Like men connect with men, but just like in a different way, and sometimes like a little bit less than. Because every time I come home from hanging out with my girlfriends, my husband's like, "What'd you guys do?" You know, it's always the same. It's like, "Oh, we talked for 4 or 5 hours. What did you guys talk about? What's there to talk about?" You know, and so when I ask him what he did with his guy friends, it's like it's usually involves something physical, or they watch something, or you know, it's always like a fire
like
pit.
Fooling around.
No, that's not what I meant. But who knows? I mean, I'm not there. Who knows? We do talk a lot about how, like, the homoerotica within, like, youth group culture and, like, Christian men culture is so wild to me. I've never understood it.
Every time I see an ad,
somebody's always
like,
naked.
Men's conferences, it's just like, ooh, daddy. It's just, and they're all really sexually charged.
Yeah.
So let me ask y'all. Child molesters.
Okay.
Do you guys have deep sympathy for them? We were talking about predators. Is there a politically incorrect and correct way of pedophiles? Probably the best thing.
Yeah.
But we were talking about this as a family because I was talking to a guy. He's actually going to come on here talk about it. That his dad started having sex with him when he was 3. And oh my gosh, I could follow him, but I knew there was no right words to say this. He actually said, "I know it sounds really jacked up," and he says, this guy's like in his 60s, getting intense counseling and everything. Just like it just ended up to be what we did as father and son. Like, oh my gosh,
wow.
My kids overheard, and so Priscilla and I were like, let's talk a little bit about this. We talked to them, and it seems as if Joey Svensson is heterosexual. I am attracted to women. All right. You have gay people. They are attracted to the same gender. Both of those are acceptable. Both of those are lawful. Neither of those are going to get you in trouble. I think pedophilia is in the same ballpark as far as not being able to decide.
I actually agree.
Be clear, you mean not being able to decide like whether you are a pedophile or not? Like if that's
they don't
whether or not you're
that.
attracted.
Yeah, you don't like
whether you're attracted.
To be attracted to kids. I don't.
Yeah.
think.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
At some point, you have to say, yeah, but it's horrendous. They know what that's going to do to a child. You can't destroy a child like that. But I do have sympathy that their attraction is so twisted that it's little kids. Yeah. And I've seen a documentary where a pedophile actually said, "Don't let me out of jail because right now I'm safe. Yeah. Not going to do it in jail." And he's serious. Do not let me out.
So I've actually written about this subject. Maybe put a link in the show notes about it.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a separation between a predator and just a standard pedophile. I dealt with predators as a child, and they put themselves in children's lives. They intentionally, will involve their career in such a way so that they can be trusted, which is why you see so many of them in churches. It's instant, easy access to kids. In my case, it was a karate school. So it was easy for this guy to have access to a lot of kids and they'd be left alone with them. So that's kind of the way I view it. If you're a pedophile who never offends, I have no problem with that. And there are, movements and groups that try to help one another keep from offending. They're called virtuous pedophiles. I have nothing but respect for people that are honest about something like that and who go out of their way to try to educate and avoid offending.
Ellen, do you understand the sympathy that we're talking about? Like, have you entertained that thought? Because I think a lot of people, they think of pedophile, they think of evil person that just steals the life of kids.
Entertained
And
what thought?
I think it is.
The thought of having sympathy, not of being one.
Right. I would say it's an evil act. I don't know if I'm willing to call anybody evil, honestly. I think actions, yes.
I get it. I get what you're saying. Virtuous pedophile is not a term I would want to use or feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
It seems to me, and I am not a psychiatrist, but it seems to me one does not just become naturally a pedophile. Most of the time, there's abuse there, and that is kind of how it comes to be, right?
I don't know
I
what
don't
the
know if
science
it's
is
most
on
or
that.
not.
Yeah, I don't know. If the
See,
science
and that's what
backs
I'd
that
like
up
to
or
know,
not.
because if that is the case, then even though they may not be able to, I don't know, quote unquote,
I can tell you
help
that,
themselves,
like, as a kid who
they
was
could
abused,
help themselves by
hearing
getting therapy.
I can tell you that as a kid who was abused, when you hear that growing up, it scares the shit out of you.
Hear what? I'm sorry, Matt.
That
Hear what?
Oh,
abusers are abused, and so
Oh, wow.
you carry it on. That's like the heaviest weight being molested as a kid, is because you're
Yeah,
afraid
well,
you're going to do it.
but to be clear, what I mean is, like,
I know.
most of those abusers were abused, but not all
Right.
were abused become abusers. I just think that there's like a correlation. Now that I totally believe that gay people don't choose that.
I hope this doesn't come across insensitive. What's the extent of your recovery?
Oh.
You never recover it.
I've had a lot of different traumatic events in my life as a child, so that is just 1-2 year span of it. But there was a lot worse before that. I have mostly a black hole for a memory, so I don't really remember my childhood. Most of it's been told to me, so I don't really know most of my life before I was like 14.
So 2 people, including this guy that I was telling you about, kind of kicked off this conversation that my kids overheard. Him and his wife, ecstasy treatment under medical care in Charleston.
Ecstasy or ketamine?
No, it's ecstasy.
Huh.
There's ketamine treatments here also. Maggie, and I'll have to put in the show notes because she came on and talked about this years ago. She had the same effect from that treatment. She remembered sexual abuse in her past. And this guy, this is how he recalled what happened between him and his dad. It was ecstasy. Just
wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's why I don't do hard drugs.
So do y'all like horror movies?
Sometimes.
Ellen?
I do. Yeah.
Me too. And I thought this one was okay. I thought the first one was great, but there's a movie called Don't Breathe. And the Don't Breathe Part 1, I think these kids break into a house. It's a blind guy, so they think they can take advantage of them. And he basically locks them all in the house and goes after them. Well, yes. Don't Breathe Part 2, he had kidnapped one of those girls in the first movie. I think, if I'm recalling correctly, bottom line is he had a little girl with this woman. This little girl grew up, and that's where the movie starts. So basically, he has had a child imprisoned and had his way with her. Now that she is a teenager, he's not attracted to her anymore. Anyway, some things happen in the movie that reveals her deep love for him.
Mm-hmm.
Not physical attraction, none of that. But I think that she saw his life in danger and panicked, and I couldn't believe it. I really was like, oh my gosh,
that's
she's
amazing.
been
that's incredible.
taken advantage
watch that.
of. My question, and I don't know if it's answerable, is that good love? Have you ever come in, like, I've never thought of love not being a good thing, but she has developed love, and I think why I would say it's probably not a good thing is she didn't have any other option.
Yeah.
That was her only community. So if she has a heart that loves, who else is she going to love?
Yeah,
but that was a tricky one for me.
That's like Stockholm syndrome. That's whenever you fall in love with your abuser. It's a whole
sexual abuser specifically.
Whatever.
No, anything. Like if someone keeps you captive. You end up kind of, it's a
I
bond.
mean, it can be
it's
in a
like trauma.
religious sense. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like trauma bonding.
Yeah.
So is that good love, Ellen? Is that a good thing?
I don't like the word that you're using, good. I would say, like, if it's pure, I suppose you could call it.
I'll put myself in some shoes here. If my daughter was held prisoner of some guy and I found her and I could tell she had great affection for her abuser, it would bother the hell out of me.
Yeah.
It should bother you. It should bother you, and she should get into therapy. Victims can feel however they want to feel.
It really can't be put in a good or bad category.
No, stop trying to do this with everything.
Too nuanced.
It would be a syndrome category, and that's usually bad.
Yeah.
Can you relate to that at all with your experiences?
Mm-mm.
Or
now, I do have
that
a lot of sympathy for him, though. Because of just some things that I do remember. I know he had a hard life too. I wish that wasn't the case, because that would have spared like 20 or 25 kids a lot of trouble.
Gosh.
Yeah, I mean, in my case, it took like 9 months before anything actually happened. But there was like a lot of grooming. A lot of that.
Ew.
Yeah.
Man, I'm so sorry.
Is it something that you...
Once I had kids, my stomach I have like a visceral reaction to talking about child abuse now. But before I had kids, it was like, yeah, that's bad. But now it's like you get a visual and you just want to throw up.
It's hard for me to hear other people's abuse, so it can turn my stomach really fast and put me in a bad mood. But I can talk about mine.
It's this really incredible documentary about these twin brothers, and they're grown now, like they're in their 50s, I think. One of them had a really traumatic accident, like motorcycle, I think. He just has so much brain damage and lost all of his memory. He has no memory of his childhood, but he's got this twin brother that he had to sort of like relearn who he was, The documentary is from the perspective of the main brother. He does the documentary about explaining to his brother the child abuse that they both suffered when they were a kid.
Whoa.
And it's crazy because he goes back and forth between like, he's so happy he doesn't know any of this stuff. It was their mother who sexually abused them for years. So he was like, but then he also deserves to know. Oh, God, it's incredible. Tell me who I am.
Where can you watch it?
Netflix.
When I had Rosa, in fact, she remembers when I tried to explain to her hell. Like, now we talk, and she's like, I remember when you taught me about hell. That was a tricky one. I said it was like permanent timeout where you really were in a lot of pain. That was a tough one. So gosh, I was in this theological, do things the right way, male headship. I mean, I was just in a completely different world. It was halfway joking around because I thought it was funny to toy with my kids' minds. I taught my daughter that any dot on her body is a dibby. And on the way to school for K5, she said, Dad, look at my dibby on my arm. And I was like, oh shit, I forgot about that. And I said, Rosa, I made that word up. There's no such thing. And she was like, what are you talking about? Of course it's a dibby. Like 5 years of her life. And so I was like, please believe me. So I finally convinced her that, and now it's a joke. We laugh about it. But I told her, listen to this. I said, Rosa, no man is ever going to take you from me. And I ain't talking about kidnapping. I'm talking about marriage. This is how I talk to her. I was like, no man is going to take you away from me. I said, I will give you to that man, but it will be your father giving you to that man. No, I was like, no man is going to take you from me. This little girl, her face just sinks, and she's like, I don't want to go to that man. And I was like, no, I'm not. There's no man right now. She's like,
God,
can you promise me that I'm not going to go to that man? Y'all, for about a week, she would mention it, that man. And I finally was like, Rosa, just forget that whole story. I'm so
she thinks you're going to trade her for a donkey or something. What the?
Oh my God, Joey.
I've improved as a father. Now my kids think I'm great. I just had to shed fundamentalism. That's all.
During that prime age, you were just a dumbass. Oh.
Yeah.
There's some man out there just waiting.
Snatch him up.
And I ain't protecting you from him. I'm going to give you to him. Hey, so we used to have a dollar theater in Charleston, and it was just the best because the movies would go from the main theater right to the dollar theater, and then we'd go watch it. We must have sat through Dumb and Dumber 5 times. It was just, well, let's go see Dumb and Dumber again. Anyway, and this is the sort of race talk that I hate that we have to be
Here we
sensitive
go.
about, because I just think this is the greatest thing ever. Me and my girlfriend at the time watched Scream 1 for the first time, jam-packed theater, and we may have been the only two white people in there. It was one of the most fun experiences. That people were lighting up in the theater. People
Whoa,
were
nice.
like from the depths of their heart, they were yelling at the screen like, "Oh my God!" I mean, people standing
I
up,
love
shouting.
it.
It was just the best.
That's as much as you guys shit talk Pacific Northwest, that's what we miss here. You know,
You need
black
black
people
in your
Now,
life.
black
Black people. You guys have plenty of Asians, right?
Plenty of
Yes.
gays too, but
lots of
Plenty of
gays,
Asians and
lots of
gays.
Asians. Yeah.
Black. That's my favorite race. For sure. Those are my favorite
This
comedies.
feels
Like
you
my
have
favorite
sticky.
black pride,
comedy is.
Joey. You have black
I'm
pride,
sorry.
Joey. Is that?
I'm sorry. They're the most fun people to hang out with. They have the best sense of community. They treat family the best. In my opinion, their sense of humor is the best. They're very muscular and chiseled. I mean, I love black people.
You have a crush on
I
Robbie
do
too,
too.
then. He's so attractive. Anyway,
Oh yeah, your one black friend that you have.
yeah.
Get the hell out of here. In fact, guess what, Ellen? I'm bringing two of my neighborhood friends on here to talk about the difference of me growing up on James Island and them. And honestly, you can go to hell, because I probably have more black friends than you have Asian friends. I'll put it that way.
I don't know about that, but you definitely have more black friends than me. If anybody can find out how I can get more, that would be great. I'm stuck out here
There you go.
with all the white folks.
Listen to Kendrick, I guess.